Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of JMCC TV. Today, we are with the legacy founder, the owner of Joshua Motor Car Company, Mr. Richard Blum. How are you today, Rich?
Good afternoon, Joshua. I have never been better, my friend.
Awesome, beautiful. So we're just going to talk about the 47 years you've been in business, the growth and generations behind it. Just kind of let people know exactly who you are, how we came to get to this point today.
Joshua, it's very difficult to be in business for 47 years when you're only 30. So therefore, don't ever tell anybody that. But yes, I started in the car business with my father and Jeff Feldman, who is the owner of Colonial Cadillac and Colonial Nissan, when I was 20 years old. Like I had told you before, when I was 21 years old, my father had a massive stroke. And he never worked again, never spoke again, eventually passed away 7 years later. And I went to my mentor and I said to him, what do we do now? And he says, you're going to go in the shop and clean cars. I said, no, I'm not going to go in the shop and clean cars. I'm going to go out on the street and I'm going to buy cars.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he knew I was serious. And he gave me enough rope to hang myself, and that's what I went and did.
Nice.
And the first two cars that I bought were right around the corner from here at Holman Lincoln Mercury.
Wow.
I bought a Cadillac and a Lincoln, and I didn't sleep until we sold them.
Wow.
It was very interesting. And here we are, 40 some years later, and the rest is history.
How about it? So, I mean, you've kind of answered 4 questions right there. You're well ahead of me. So now that you guys know a little bit about how we've gotten started here, let's talk about some of the early days. What were some of the biggest challenges in the early years?
I think the biggest challenges were, money. Everybody,
sure.
Was out there and it was very competitive. So he who had the biggest pocketbook and could buy more cars and do more won. And I was very lucky to work with a guy who was a very aggressive wholesaler at the time and one of the biggest in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to be big and how to get it done and how to move and shake. And that's what we did. And in the mid 80s, he bought a new Cadillac dealership and I didn't go with him. And I left him on a Friday, and on Monday morning, what was then called JF Motors changed to our original company that was called Richard James Enterprises when I had a minority partner in my business in the beginning. And then eventually, in 1990, everything changed when Josh was 5 years old. I named the business after him. And that is when Joshua Motor Car Company started in 1990.
Wow.
And we were a large wholesale dealer that was never small because we took over the wholesale business that I was previously in.
Yeah.
And we just grew and blew up from there.
So I know we've spoken a little bit about your wholesale industry and how large you guys were. You guys were the ones that were selling to basically all the dealerships in the area, correct?
The wholesaler is the middleman. So we buy cars from banks, from leasing companies, from new car dealer trades, from private individuals. And then we had a large reconditioning shop where we did body work and we did pinstriping back in the day that you don't see much anymore. And we put vinyl tops on cars to make them look better. And then we sold them to the local new car dealers and some independent dealers also. And that's what we did every week. Primarily at the Mannheim Auto Auction, which is over in Bordentown, New Jersey. And we averaged between 50 and 100 cars a week.
Wow.
And we were that middle guy. We were the dealer that was really big that nobody knew.
Okay, gotcha. So if you went from being the middleman that nobody knew, but also one of the largest wholesalers in the area to being a retail company, what changed? What made you want to get into retail?
I didn't. So I always say that in the 47 years that I've been in business, running a business is like captaining a ship. And when the ship lifts a little bit to the left, you have to adjust and get it back to center.
Yeah.
When it lists a little bit to the right, you have to adjust and get it back to the center. I've always been pretty good at that. I've always had a great team around me, and I've been pretty good at that. We've been through gas crises, if people remember. You won't remember, but there were times back in the day when there was a gas crisis and you had that odd or even tags to get gas on that day. Then you had the stock market crash in 2008, and then you had, you know, some other issues that always come up, that you're always steering the ship one way or the other. What happened right before COVID, my son Joshua, who had 12 years of restaurant experience in New York City, working for Steven Starr, one of the largest restaurateurs. He ran Budokan in Morimoto in the Chelsea market. And he is amazing at customer service. And right before COVID, probably in about 2017 or 18, he called me one day and he said, "Dad, I don't have a life." He said, I can't date, I can't do anything. I work, you know, in the restaurant business. You don't have a holiday off, you don't have a weekend off, you don't have a night off.
Yeah.
You know, and if somebody misses a shift and you're the manager, you're filling in for them. So I said, "Josh, I named the business after you when you were 5. I've always wanted you to be in the business." So it was a great thing. He came back in 2017. And then what happens? In 2019, COVID.
Yep.
The auction shuts down. You can't do any business.
Yep.
You couldn't really, it was they deemed that automobiles were a necessity, so you could actually be open after that first few weeks.
Yeah.
So Josh came back into the business and he said to me, "Why do we do what we do?" I said, "That's all I've ever done. That's what I know. That's my business." He goes, "Well, we're changing now." He says, "We're going to sell great cars at the right price to great people. We're going to open up a retail business." I said, "I'm okay with that, Josh, except for the fact that I'm not working Saturdays." I said, "I'm done. I don't work Saturdays. I'm down, you know, with your mother."
Yeah.
And that's what we do. I said, "If you're making the commitment to go into retail, I am 100% behind you." And that's what we sat down and did. And we bought this property in 2018, opened in July of 2019, and it's been an amazing ride. It is a wonderful place. We have 230 cars in stock. People ask me all the time, "What do you sell?" I have no idea what we sell, because we sell everything. We have commercial trucks, we have SUVs, we have $10,000 cars, we have $70,000 cars, we have sports cars, we have sedans, we have Cadillacs, we have Porsches, we have Mercedes. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And the reason that's what we do is because we never stop buying like a wholesaler. We still use our roots to buy the right cars that we touch, that we feel, that we see. We don't buy cars usually at auction. Once in a while, if we have a special order, we'll go and find that car. But we still buy cars like a wholesaler.
Gotcha.
So we sell cars for less because we buy cars for less.
So explain to me exactly, now you can hear how in-depth the process is to buying a vehicle. How many times does a car go through a vehicle check? Is it maybe once or twice? Even from the point that it gets on the lot or the point that it's being purchased all the way to the point of sale, how many times does that vehicle get looked over?
It never stops being evaluated. When we go to a dealership to buy their trade-ins, when we go to a bank to buy their off-lease cars, the first person that has contact with that, whether it's myself or Joshua or Danny, who's our lead buyer, we check those cars out right then and there. Then when we agree to purchase them, if they fit the criteria that we want, then we bring them in and we have our own mechanics here that check them out again. You know, then we have a team of detailers that bring them up to what we want them to look like and how we want to present a car. We fix whatever a car needs to be fixed. When you buy a car at Joshua Motor Car Company, It's ready for you to enjoy, down to the wiper blades. If it needs wiper blades, it gets wiper blades. If it needs tires, it gets tires. If it needs brakes, it gets brakes. You know, one of the things that people ask us all the time, and I love how Joshua answers the question, you're not the cheapest online. We don't want to be the cheapest online. We want to be the best. We want to offer the best product at a great, fair price for good people, and we build trust and quality in what we do.
So let's talk more about family and legacy. What is it like for you watching Joshua grow into a leadership role? How has that developed?
It's amazing. I mean, I know what he did when he was in New York, and I know that he was a manager of restaurants. But when Josh left, he was a teenager, and he left for college, and he didn't come back until he was 30-some years old.
Yeah.
So our relationship as adults was, I spoke to him once or twice a week, told me what was going on in his life. I told him what was going on in mine. Working together has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets it. And not only does he get it, he's taught me more than I've taught him. He's taught me, he and his mother have been blessed with the gift of patience. So whereas his sister and I are the more direct, that wholesale thing, it's the difference between wholesale and retail. When I bought a car wholesale, dealer called me, the car was $2,000. I called the next dealer, the car's $2,200, got picked up, delivered to the next dealer, end the case, checks done. Retail's different.
Yeah.
People want to think about it. They need to talk to their wife. They need to, talk to their accountant. It's a big decision. It is a big decision.
Yeah, it is.
You need patience to work in the retail business.
Yes.
Josh has patience. When he first came into this business and somebody would have a problem a week after they bought a car, because cars are just machines and things happen.
Yes, they break.
He would say to me, "You think this is a problem? I've got a day to get this brake squeal out." He said, "I had 15 minutes to fix somebody's $60 steak in the restaurant and make them happy so that they ate with the rest of their party that they were dining with."
Yeah.
He goes, "That's pressure." He said, we got this.
I love that. That's beautiful. So through all of that, he's set a very solid foundation on understanding how to cater to his customer.
It's truly amazing. The relationship that he has built, and also our salespeople. Our salespeople are special. Some have came here with zero experience. They've been trained by us. They've been taught the way we want to do things, total transparency. I would say 8 out of 10 people that leave this dealership, it ends in a hug. It's really unbelievable. It's very heartwarming, and it's great to help people.
So would you say that the most thing you would be proud of seeing Joshua as the sales manager here at JMCC, would you say that you're most proud of today, the way he's established that customer service in dealing with customers, making them feel welcome, establishing an environment that makes people feel like they're wanted here instead of it just being a sales business?
It's a culture.
Yeah.
And it's something we believe in.
Yeah.
We tell people all the time, we can't sell every car. We're a little dealer in Pennsauken, New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's dealers around us that sell 10 times the cars we do every month. We're happy with our niche. We can't sell to everybody. People come in here, and some people are so nervous and so scared about the whole process that it takes us a good portion of our time just to change, just to relax, just to tell them who we are. Please read our reviews, see what we do. This is how we treat people. Some people, they don't believe you just because you're a car dealer.
Yeah.
And we do our best to show them that we value them, We want to do our best for them, and we're going to sell them a great car at a fair price.
Now let's talk about that. Being a car dealer, you do know that the reputation as a car dealer is not very good amongst the people. You do understand that it has been filled with a lot of false advertisement and lies. And just to draw people into the door, and then, you know, they're getting hit with these large car payments that they don't want nor can afford. You know, they're getting hit with high APRs. The vehicles are breaking down at some dealerships. The customer service and the ambiance of the dealership is just not good. They're getting pre-qualified, all these different things. So you tell me, what most disappoints you about the car industry today?
Why do you think people are scared to death to buy cars? Because what's happened, especially since the internet, when you put your price on the internet, what do people look for when they go on the internet? They look for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
When you go on and you look at a Lazy Boy sofa, and furniture store A is $2,000 and furniture stores B is, $1,500. It's the cheapest price.
Yeah.
One of my biggest things is, and I listen to a local sports radio station, and they have two different advertisers on the radio. One is a window company that advertises, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Do you really think you're getting 2 windows for free?
No, of course not.
You're paying. So there's another company that advertises, do you really think you're getting 2 windows for free? We give you a fair price on a great quality window. How about if I tell you that the one that promises buy 2, get 2 free does more business, because that's what the public hears and that's what they say. When you're pricing cars on the internet today and everybody's looking for the cheapest price, every person who does things not so upstanding, they find a way to get around the rules. So if you don't go onto their website and read every single word of that ad, all the way down to the bottom where there's the disclaimers, where there's the fees, there's a dealer 2 miles away from here, charges $4,500 in extra fees.
Wow.
$1,995 for certification, $995 for a delivery fee. Where are they delivering it? You're there to pick, well, no, that's part of what we do. Everybody in the car business has a doc fee, which is a document fee that handles all the transferring of the title and all those things. We charge $4.99 for our doc fee. We're the cheapest in New Jersey, probably. Wow. I mean, there's dealers that charge $8.95, $9.95. They use it as a profit center. There's dealers that if you don't finance with them, the price is different. There's dealers that when you go down to the small print, it says the price reflects $3,000 down cash or trade value.
Wow.
So it's already, the price is $3,000 more than they're showing. So many people walk in here and they go, oh, I saw a better price up the street. Go ahead. Please go ahead. Look at the car and see what your out the door price is. Our out the door price is the price of the car on the internet, $4.99 for a doc fee, your state transfer fees or tag fees, and your state tax, which we make no money on any of those things. So we are totally transparent. A lot of people don't believe that because they just simply don't believe that a car dealer can be honest.
That's true.
But we are.
Yeah.
We are 100% honest. We sleep really good at night. We do the right thing. We treat people right. We make sure our cars are right. When you go to a dealer normally, and if you choose not to buy the extended service contract, and a week later something happens to your car, you chose not to buy the extended service contract. That was your choice. You had the opportunity. So something breaks. There's 8 million parts in a car. There's sensors in all these new cars. There's oxygen sensors. They go bad all the time.
Very true.
You call the dealer and the dealer says, well, you have to deal with the service department. The service department says, well, did you buy a service contract? No, we didn't. Okay, so the sensor's $89 and, it's $100 in labor and blah, 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 and it's your couple hundred out the door.
Yeah.
When you buy a car from me and 3 days later, your check engine light comes on, we're going to take care of it.
Good. That's beautiful.
Because we don't sell cars that way. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
When you buy a car from me and you didn't buy a service contract and 6 months later something happens to your car and you call me for help, the very least I'm going to do for you, the very least, is get your car fixed at what it would cost me, which is probably considerably less than it would cost you.
Yeah.
And that is a courtesy that I would extend to you just because you're my customer.
That's beautiful. So how do you implement that when it concerns bringing on a team? How do you implement those same standards? Because I know, knowing you personally, you're a man of standard. You're a man of honesty, of truth. You hold all of us very accountable. How do you keep that when you're looking for hiring somebody into your business? What do you look for exactly?
We look for people that tell the truth. When we have had salespeople in here, and there have been people that come and go, what Joshua says to every one of our salespeople is it's okay not to know the answer to a question. If somebody asks you, does that car have a 6-cylinder 3.0 liter motor? And the salesman says, oh yeah, sure it does. But then it turns out that it really doesn't. It's got a 3.2 liter motor.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, Mr. Smith, you know what? Do you have any other questions? Let me address those questions. Or wait a minute, let me go onto my website and let me get exactly, it's right on there. It's right on our website, the color of the car, the motor, the equipment, everything's there. Even one of the biggest questions on all our commercial trucks, does it have a 6-foot bed on the pickup truck? Does it have an 8-foot bed on the pickup truck? The box truck. How high is the box truck? Is it 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall? How long is the interior? Is it 12 feet long? Is it 14 feet long? What Josh does now on every one of our trucks on our website, there's a picture with measurements on it. And you can go to like the 3rd or 4th picture of our thing and it shows you it's 12 feet long, it's 8 feet high, it's 6 feet off the ground. It's X amount of GVW, the gross vehicle weight. We answer the questions honestly, truthfully. People will say, well, how much will it cost to ship a car to California? I don't really know, but if you give me your address, I'll tell you exactly in 1 hour how much it'll cost to get that car to California, exactly to the penny and when you'll get it. We're going to answer the questions and we're going to be truthful about everything we do.
So let's travel to the past a bit. Now that we're here, we are 6 years deep into this retail game. If you had to go back to 20-year-old Richard Blum, what would you say to him? Would you change anything?
I wouldn't change a thing in my life. I am the luckiest person in the world. I met my wife when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
We got married when we were 22 years old. We're celebrating our 45th anniversary this year. She has stood by me and helped me build this business my entire life. She's the title clerk in this business. So not only does my son work here, my wife works here. We spend every moment of our lives together. There's people that have a lot more money than me. There's people that have a lot bigger dealerships than me. I couldn't be any happier with my life. I have the greatest family. I have the greatest group of friends. I enjoy every minute of my life. I love what we do. I am proud to say that in 47 years of business, I have never, ever had a lawsuit against me.
Beautiful.
The reason, if there's ever a problem, I fix it. And I make sure that whenever there's an issue, and sure, there have been issues over the years, you sit down like adults, you work through the problem, you work it out, you figure it out, and you keep the people as friends.
That's beautiful. So let's talk about that love life of yours, the 45 years that you've experienced. We live in a digital age where divorce rates are at an all-time high, relationships are struggling. What's a gem that you could leave to the younger generation so they could understand how to keep, because we know you spend 24/7 with your wife and you never get bored, you don't argue, nothing at all. And it's been like this your entire relationship. Give us a gem that you can leave for the next generation and help them understand how to build a long-lasting and standing relationship while building a business.
The grass isn't greener on the other side. When you make a commitment to somebody, no matter whether it's your wife, your boss, your employee, your customer, that commitment is your bond.
Yeah.
And when Cindy and I, listen, everybody has arguments, everybody has disagreements, but we just look at each other and laugh. And we go, you know what? We'll figure this out and we'll get through it. And it's not that big a deal. Nothing is that big a deal. You will find whenever I have an issue, when you come to me with an issue, I will usually never ask you or tell you how I'm going to resolve it at that moment.
Very true.
People think that I procrastinate. I don't procrastinate. I think about it and I digest it. And I think about how important it is in the grand scheme of life and how important it is that I address it. And sometimes when you don't address it for a moment, the person or the thing that's the problem corrects itself without being addressed.
That's beautiful. For a person that says they have no patience, you just showed a lot of patience over the 45 years.
I'm 67 years old.
How about it?
I didn't always have this patience.
Very true.
And again, I'm telling you that between Cindy and Josh, they have given me a lot more of that in this environment.
Yeah, you can definitely see that you are a king on a chessboard, always playing chess in a checkered world. And I love that. That's beautiful. Rich, it's been an honor, and we thank you so much for what you've done. I thank you for what you've done. We look forward to seeing Joshua Motorcar for 60 more years. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate everything you've done and what you bring to my company. It's been a breath of fresh air, and I hope that we continue to grow together. And what I want to say to everybody who's watching this, jmccauto.com, read the reviews.
That's it. That's all you need to know. This has been another episode of JMCC TV. That was the legendary Richard Blum. We thank you, Rich. Have a great one.
You too. Thank you.